Welcome to Western New York at Work. On today's show, we have Chris Stoddart with the Kaizen Institute as part of our ongoing series, Thriving in Western New York.
Good morning, Buffalo, and welcome to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddart, our monthly manufacturing conversation because it's thriving in Western New York. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Dale. How are you?
Great.
Good.
I tell you, every time I see that background, it just reminds me of a historical value that we have here in our community.
Yeah, I love the photo. I love the architecture downtown, the architecture in the city. I think it's phenomenal, and I just love this black and white photo.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Chris, to go right into our conversation, I'm very excited again because we're talking to manufacturers throughout New York State, but primarily here in Western New York. And for those that are not familiar with the Kaizen Institute, since 1985, Kaizen has been helping businesses with their continued improvement process, whether that be waste, minimizing their risk, customer service, and other flow of information type services. And so, again, I think is what we bring to the general marketplace is something that's very prevalent today. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a change is necessary for anyone, whether it's on an individual basis or on from a business perspective, but change is absolutely critical.
So speaking of change, okay, change is relevant, change is evident. We see it all the time. Can you speak to some of the change models that exist within the Kaizen Institute family?
So yeah, well, I mean, we do know and understand that change is necessary. It depends on the rate of change that we're willing to accept or want as part of our personal life and certainly our business world. But it's critically important that we look for a way to move forward. And a lot of businesses right now are facing significant change challenges within this pandemic world that we're now living in. We're fortunate at Kaizen Institute that we do have a model. We have a business system that has grown, certainly grown over time based on the Toyota production system, and now a further review of the Danaher business system, which has allowed us as a company kind of take a step back and look at our business model and determine whether or not we're bringing a good solid foundation to the business community. And within that, we have something that we call the Kaizen change model. And it involves three pillars that are critically important as you move through a change initiative or a change journey within an organization. And they are Strat Kaizen, which is the strategy, the building of that strategy, having a vision, looking at 3 to 5 years on strategic goals and objectives, and building that very tactical plan to help move the organization in a direction that it needs to go to. And so it's so important to have that vision. And most organizations, quite frankly, lack that. And so we want to instill that at the leadership level. So we start to look forward, and we talk often about the role of a leader. And the role of a leader really is to get their eyes up and look out over the horizon and look for that next challenge, that next obstacle. And are we going to navigate the waters, and how are we going to grow our business long term? And right now, growth maybe not even is on the mind of some business leaders, and maybe it's just survival, but it still requires a strategy. It still requires us to have our eyes up. And so in addition to that, we have that change, that double-digit improvement, that double-digit gain strategy inside the organization, which is value stream Kaizen. And that's what delivers on part of that strategic vision, but it delivers the significant change inside the work environment so that we can manage the day-to-day, we can build the business and build the strength of the business to move forward and give the customer, everything that they're looking for and create a profitable environment for the business to operate in. And then there's the daily Kaizen. I refer to this as maybe a failure in past lives as a consultant, is that we didn't do a good enough job of ensuring that the leadership, the frontline leadership, knew how to manage effectively, knew how to manage a change journey, knew how to manage a change initiative, and had the ability to kind of work with their team to develop a way forward and take the practical problem solving tools that are available to them to manage change and to manage their their workspace. And so these three pillars are really key in moving forward. And in today's environment, we need that structure. We need to have the ability to recognize that when we're faced with a challenge, that we have a pathway forward. And that's what the change model can do for organizations.
Okay, great. Chris, how would you gauge the pulse of the manufacturing conversation as it is today? For example, we're quickly moving into 2021, where a company is going to have to even pivot again. But are there any unique conversations that you're hearing, or industry conversations that we want to share with our audience?
It really depends on who you talk to. There are companies that are certainly thriving right now, not by any design of their own. It's simply a reaction to what's taking place, and their product or service is in demand right now. And so there's that company that is trying to understand, is this sustainable long term? Is this a short-term gain, a short-term hit on the top line? Is it something that they will stabilize? Has the market shifted for them as a company, and this is now the new norm, and this business volume is expected going forward? There's some real, very important discussions that they need to be having and better understanding their market, but it still requires the same pathway. It still requires an analysis of where they are, how they've gotten to where they are, and what do they need to do going forward to control what they can control. You've also got the other, manufacturers that are currently struggling to find, certainly their way forward and not knowing exactly what's going to happen. But the reality is that, the economy is going to change. It will. As difficult as it has been and continues to be, and, certainly will be through the winter months here, there will be a change in economic activity. Whether it's mid next year, third quarter, fourth quarter of next year, there will be a return to some active level of spending. I read this morning, they talk about the pent-up demand. And so there's going to be pent-up demand, and people are just going to want to spend money that can't spend money right now. So whether that's on travel and leisure, whether that's on goods, but they'll want to take that disposable income that they currently have and again, get to a spending place. So, for that organization, it's a different pathway forward. But again, the concept is the same. Where are they now? Where do they need to be? And what's your pathway? What are you looking to do different in 2021 to prepare for that? Are you looking at your operational expenses? Are you looking at operational capital? What is it that you're looking at to help your business to succeed when that the economic activity returns?
Yes, and Chris, I think that's a good segue. Speaking of spending money or making that investment, because we have some very customized solutions. And so if you can just speak for a moment how we're going to sit down with manufacturing leaders and business owners to really get a better understanding of what's keeping them up at night and really customize some solutions that are specific to their business.
Yeah, and I think that's critical, is that as much as there is a model, as much as there is a, kind of a high level deployment roadmap, it must be customized to each business. Every business has a different starting point, just again, as we do as individuals. And so it's critically important that we get in there and do a full analysis. And there's different ways we can do that. We can go in and do some assessments or audits. We can do a full analysis, which is looking at the business from a beginning to end, kind of the wall-to-walls, inside the four walls perspective, and looking at how information and materials flow through your organization, and looking to see where, if you were to invest money, what would the ROI look like, and uncovering what the opportunity really is going forward for the business. And it's so important that be unique to that facility. And even within a larger organization that might have multiple sites, whether within New York State or across the world, each site is likely to have a different starting point. So that assessment is so important to build the proper and the most effective pathway for that business itself. And so, that's the starting point for us, is to get in there and better understand the business, go through the analysis, the financial analysis, looking at your KPIs and your metrics, see where you're performing, underperforming, and then build a pathway forward to help you reach your goals as a business.
Okay. And for any of our viewers that are just tuning into today's show and they're anxious for us to get to the contact information, can we make sure that we display your contact telephone number so anyone who wants to reach out to us?
Sure. Yeah, it's 716-444-8334. And you can also reach us via email at us-ny@kaizen.com.
Okay. Buffalo, don't go anywhere. You're watching Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddart. Today's our monthly manufacturing conversation. Again, it's Thriving in Western New York. Do not go anywhere. We're going to take a very short break, and we'll be right back.
Western New York at Work is brought to you by our key business partners and many business professionals.
Bocce's Club Pizza, Staff Buffalo, Buffalo Healthy Living, CAI, Hope Buffalo, Embassy Suites, 716 Limousine.
Get it. Get it.
Get it.
Get it. Get it.
Is she gonna get it, Daddy?
She'll get it. Get it. Get it.
When you bring home a Goodwill find, you give your whole town a reason to celebrate because you're also funding local job training and placement programs in tech, healthcare, and more. Goodwill. Bring good home.
I love New York. We love New York.
We've been stuck inside our homes
While our everyday heroes have been working overtime.
For New York to reopen
and stay open.
We all need to do our part.
And show that we care.
Look, man.
I wear a mask to protect you.
You wear a mask to protect me.
Let's all wear a mask
To stop the spread of coronavirus.
and save lives.
when we show up in the mask,
We're showing up for each other.
Show your love for New York.
Because New York loves you.
Bring it. Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home. Okay. Bye, guys. You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one? I gotta go eat, man. Sorry. I'll see you later.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
Welcome back to Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddart. Today is our manufacturing conversation that we do each and every month, and we're talking to manufacturing leaders about their business, taking their business to the next level, and what does that conversation need to entail. So, Chris, we were having an interesting conversation over the break. Can we pick that conversation up once again?
Sure. Yeah. Well, you and I talk a lot about, how do local businesses take advantage of the types of services that we offer and the content and the expertise we can bring to the local market. And we need to get to a point where we start having these discussions with the local leader. And, we know that Buffalo is made up of a mix of different types of manufacturers. There are large multinationals that are here. There are multi-site US-based companies. There are you kind of your owner operated sites that exist here as well. And regardless of the size of company you are and the reach that you have, it's so important that the leaders of the business, understand that there is a different pathway, that they can start to see a different way of running the business. And what my experience, even working with large multinationals, is we tend to see leaders who are very engaged in the day-to-day business, that the management of the daily activities is something that becomes second nature to them. And more than likely, it's because that's how they progress through their development in the organization. That's where they come from. Most leaders come from the front line, whether it's been a frontline position in the factory or it's been a frontline leadership position, but they've grown in the company, and that's really all they know. But once they get into a leadership position, the expectation must be different, and we need to engage with leaders and teach them the importance of looking longer term. Whether that's 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, it certainly needs to be on the day-to-day operation. So we've got to find ways to make sure that we have the right system in place, that the day-to-day is effective, it is being managed, that we have the ability to tier up and escalate concerns or needs that eventually will get to that site leader, but create that condition where they're managed where they should be managed, at the natural work team, at the level that they should be managed, so that the leader can spend less time focused on the factory or the shop and spend more time looking forward. And that's really, I think, the key for local business is that we need to have that discussion. You and I, again, and we've talked about having this roundtable where we bring in local manufacturing leaders. And that's the discussion I want to have with them is, what are you doing to take your business into the future? How many of you today, and when I ask this question in large groups, how many of you today are looking 12 to 24 months ahead? And how many of you are looking towards the next day? More often than not, they're raising their hand when we talk about the next day. So how do we get you to a place where you feel comfortable? That's the pathway. That's the tool set. That's the journey that we take you on, is to get you to a place where the business knows how to manage itself. The people within the business can manage the business itself and the day-to-day activities. And we're going to get you thinking about what's going to take place in 2021 and beyond.
Yes, yeah. Chris, what I'm also hearing is that leadership buy-in has to happen. There's absolutely no way you can articulate improving a company to your frontline management team or middle management unless you have that top line buy-in.
Yeah, in some cases it takes a little bit of courage to step out, depending on the organization and the culture at the leadership level. And it sometimes requires an individual to take that step and be the first. In most cases, that what we refer to as buy-in is really evidence-based. So once you begin the journey, once you begin the change initiative, and you start to deploy a system with it into your business, and you start to see the benefit, and the ultimate benefit is on the culture side, it's the people side of the business. The outputs, the benefits of doing so are, top line growth, bottom line growth, higher quality of product, more stable workforce, but it's the culture piece that's so critical. And that's what we're going to build when we deploy, KBS into an organization, is that we start to build that change culture, and where we release the decision-making, the change initiative to the employees that are impacted by the change. And so that's where, again, the results side of it, the benefit of it. And if you've had the opportunity, which I have, to be in an organization long enough, you get to see it. And you get to a point where you wonder how you operated differently, how you ever did get by previously, when it's so positive. It's such a joy to come to work and be part of a group that's really moving collectively forward. So if an organization is struggling, we just need that one individual to make that step forward. And then we deliver. We deliver the benefit, we deliver the evidence that then the rest of the leaders say, whoa, wow, okay, I want to be part of this because this is going in a positive direction.
Okay. All right. Chris, I'm going to kind of pivot once again before we close out today's show. I received an email recently, and the question was, describe the difference between a Gemba walk and a Kaizen event.
Very different approaches. So, the Gemba walk itself, which often gets misstated, misunderstood, is simply going to Gemba with a purpose. So we often think that if we Gemba being the place where the work gets done, the place where the value is added, which can be different. It could be the factory floor if it's a factory function. It could be in an HR office, a finance setting, depending on where it is, but the place where the work gets done. Now, Gemba Walk has a purpose. A Gemba Walk is when leaders go to Gemba for the purpose of learning, for the purpose of coaching, for the purpose of improving their understanding of the business. And so it's different than simply what some refer to as Gemba tourism. Some people think that if I go to Gemba, if I walk the factory, tick the box, I've done what I've completed my Gemba Walk. That's not what a Gemba Walk is. Now, a Kaizen event is very different in that it's a change initiative. It's when we bring cross-functional teams together to solve complex problems. The simple, straightforward challenges or problems that we see on a daily basis, more often than not, we can resolve those as a team. But there are occasions where we need a different set of expertise, different set of different knowledge base, different experience base, and we bring those individuals together under a very structured approach to problem solving. So from a problem statement and clearly stating what the problem is, through analysis of the problem, development of countermeasures, the testing of the countermeasures and validating the benefit of them, the impact that they have, and then moving on to standard work and then the deployment. There's a lot more that goes into it, but it's very, very different.
Okay. And again, for the business leader that's viewing today's show and really just coming on the tail end of the conversation, can you provide your contact information, telephone number, and email address once again?
Sure can. Telephone number is 716-444-8334. And the email address is us-ny@kaizen.com.
Well, once again, Buffalo, you've been watching another great episode of Western New York at Work with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddart, our monthly manufacturing conversation. Chris, any parting thoughts for today?
Yeah, I think that, in a lot of cases, we've talked about this where leaders don't exactly know what steps to take. And so sometimes we don't take that first step if we're not comfortable knowing where that first step is going to take us. I've been there. I was a site manager and brought on a consulting firm to help me better understand. Actually, I started with attending some training classes and some awareness classes and some networking events to see what was going on out there, knowing that we needed to do something different, but I wasn't sure what different looked like. And eventually meeting up with some people that I grew to trust and brought them on, and not knowing again where we were going. I trusted in the process. I trusted that this organization would take us in a positive direction. And I think that's really that first step is, if you're struggling as a business owner and you're not exactly sure, business leader, where to go, sometimes these conversations are the first ones to have, is to recognize that there is a pathway forward. And certainly we can have that conversation and help describe, what we do as an organization, but what the options are that are available to you. And it's not always a consulting agreement. It's not always boots on the ground, but there may be a pathway forward that will help you in your growth as a leader or help the business grow. And so, we encourage you to reach out. The conversation is a casual conversation. We can have it, given the climate, we can have a video call, a telephone call, and just step through what the options are and get to know your condition, your situation a little bit better, and recommend where you go. But any growth you can invest in yourself, for growth. And so whether you're gaining information from us or you're going to classes or taking training programs online, whatever it is you're reading, get as much information you can in learning and understanding how to support your business moving forward.
To our viewers out there, you've been watching another great episode of Western New York at Work in our monthly manufacturing conversation with Dale Martin and Chris Stoddart, brought to you by the Kaizen Institute. You have a great day, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Western New York at Work is brought to you by our key business partners and many business professionals.
Bocce's Club Pizza, Staff Buffalo, Buffalo Healthy Living, CAI, Hope Buffalo, Embassy Suites, 716 Limousine.
If you or anyone you know is a leader in manufacturing here in Western New York and you would like to be part of a roundtable discussion on thriving in Western New York, please contact us at the information below. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to get to better understand the needs and the challenges that the local business community faces.
We're here in Marlette, Michigan to visit a past client, Oettiker, who had made tremendous strides in their continuous improvement journey. And it's been roughly a year and a half since I was last here, and we want to see where they are and see if they've been able to maintain and sustain the improvements that they had made.
How has Oettiker's level of engagement changed on the shop floor?
We are looking to drive waste out of our organization, not just a plant, our entire global operations. We want to embrace cross-functional teams. We want to drive waste out of our systems, and this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to need the help of the Kaizen Institute to show us how to get there.
I think that as we continue to kind of mature in our OPS system, the employees are getting more comfortable with it, and they're also getting to where they have more confidence that what they bring up is going to be addressed.
Okay.
So we really try to create systems that involve that. We try to create opportunities for communication on the floor, and then create systems that can capture those ideas that the employees have to ensure that they're making it up to the engineer and the management level for us to be able to act on them, but also to empower them to act on them themselves if that's what can be done.
So what benefit has Oettiker realized from engaging team members in problem solving?
We started the project, I would say about 3 months ago, on improving the setup times and continuing with SMED on our newer machines.
Okay.
So we brought the die setters in, and this is the unveiling of it.
So one of the things that came out of this was what we called a tooling prep event. And we said, instead of us chasing the tooling, let's bring the tooling to where we need it. We took all the tooling that was controlled at one location and brought it to where the die setters needed to use it. It eliminated all that waste of running around trying to find stuff.
I think the greatest benefit of it is being able to be close to the machines, and it's a huge time saver.
So what were some of the challenges that Oettiker faced deploying team boards, and how did they overcome those challenges?
So it gives us more of a measurement of how many resources I have to allocate to, the freight side versus our small package side of the house.
Okay.
Once we get done with today's requirements, we can actually switch that to the following day. So it's a constant move of, forward momentum.
So what benefits have been realized by deploying OPS in the logistics area?
I believe when you think of OPS, you don't think of marketing, right? And how is marketing going to leverage these tools? But my team and I have embraced it. And as Oettiker continues to grow, we have more work, more teams, more cross-functional discussions. And overall, I feel that has brought trust amongst my team, as well as everyone interacting around us.